do you want to make $10,000 a month? I'm like, what? when that's the catch straight away, you're like, okay,
I'm going to teach you to make videos while you sleep. Wake up in the morning with 10 new Instagram videos without having to do anything. Like that's the kind of pitch that like he was kind of trying to make me do. And I was like, but like, that's impossible,
But it goes back to the, like, if it's too good to be true, it's not true. Like that's the basic for everything, even before the internet, like before anything, like it's just, if it's too good to be true, it's not true.
Hey, I'm Jay Woodard. I am a creative director, photographer and videographer of the Ed32 agency based in the south of Ireland in Cork.
Hi, I'm Judy Russell. I'm a video coach and founder of the Vid Academy.
Hi, I'm Jen Bryan and I'm the co-founder and chief marketing officer of a digital marketing agency called Velocity Growth.
Hi, I'm Sian Horn. I'm a business mentor and coach. I'm also the founder of the national network for women in business called The Club. And I also am the ambassador for Champion Green.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode. So this week we are going to be talking all about the world of coaches. So we're going to be talking about good experiences, bad experiences, everything in between. And we'll kick off on a positive though. Judy, what do you like about coaches? What in the world of coaching, have you had a coach? Did you have a good experience? Or is there anything you generally like about it as a field, we'll call it?
I suppose like my mum trained as a addiction counsellor when I was growing up. So I was like really into the whole counselling thing, and I was pretty much forced to go to counselling as a teenager, like against my will. But I actually benefited a lot from it. So like I've went to a therapist for the whole year last year on BetterHelp. It's like, online kind of platform and stuff like that. So I suppose like that was really helpful, like extremely helpful and stuff like that. I'm not sure I understand the difference between kind of a licensed therapist and then a coach. And I know that Shan actually did explain this to me one day. And then what a mentor is versus a coach. So like, I do believe in bettering yourself through a professional who can kind of guide you there. But I would have just assumed that the traditional therapist would have been the route to go down. But I did read today that between 2019 and 2022, the number of life coaches increased by 54%. And I am noticing that people are kind of like, oh, I just certified in life coaching and you should do it too is another thing. And I'm like, I don't think that's my bang at all. I don't think I'd be good at that at all. But it's just fascinating to kind of watch it from afar. So I'm, again, loving hearing your insights on this.
I'm 23 years old and I'm a life coach. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Joe, it would be good before we go any further, actually, is Shan, do you want to kind of touch on what Judy mentioned there and go through the differences?
Yeah, absolutely. So, because this is so important, and actually you can be 23 and be a life coach, because a life coach doesn't have to have any experience. What a coach has to do is be able to draw that information from you. So basically, the difference is basically, so the way I always think about it is a counselor is dealing with your past. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it's taking you through and giving you advice on how you can change mindset, etc. So it's dealing with the past and how to make yourself better. A mentor is really dealing with your future because they're giving you advice and information to take you into the future, but they've already experienced themselves. So I don't believe you can be a 23-year-old mentor. But a coach is dealing with the present. So a coach is looking at basically what is happening today, what your goals are for your future and how you can change it, but they're not giving you advice. And I actually got in a lot of trouble training as a coach because I'm a bugger for giving advice. So I kept having to go, Sugar, sorry, I just fell into mentor. And I speak to a lot of mentor/coaches like myself who do both. But when I change my hat, I always tell my client. So sometimes people need coaching to bring the best out of them. And sometimes they just need help and the information and advice. And that's when I'm a mentor. Does that make sense?
Great way of explaining it. Yeah. Past, present, future. I love it. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay. And simplify it.
And Shan, what in terms of the positive question side of things, in like what is the positive impact? Maybe you could touch on each of them even maybe if you have like, I don't know, do you have a coach as well that you have a positive experience from. But do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't done counselling actually, and I really want to do it because I know that it's helped an awful lot of friends of mine. And I think it's something that really benefits people. So I'm glad you mentioned BetterHelp there, Judy, because I'd written them down as well, because I think it's really accessible to people. So that's the only present one that I haven't done. I've nearly always had a mentor. And mentors come at different times, I think, in your life. So like probably my first ever mentor was in my early 30s, so a good 20 years ago. And it was a previous boss of mine that saw something in me, but knew that I just needed help with direction. And so would advise me and has probably advised me most of my life. He's someone that I really trust. He's someone that I can ring when I need help, sometimes just to clarify whether I'm right or wrong. And then the coaching piece, I've had 2 really good coaches in my life, actually. And that's why I actually went and studied coaching, because they were so good. And it is, for me, coaching is, I know where I want to go. I feel it in my gut, but I need to talk it through with someone. I need to talk through the pros and cons, how I'm going to feel when I get to the end of it, what it's going to look like. So I use a lot of visualization myself. And what happens if it doesn't go right? I think that's always really a good example of a good coach. They dig a little deeper, so they could go, do you like this book, Sean? Yes, I like this book, but why do you like this book, Sean? Give me one thing that made a change to you in this book, and how you can then move forward and take that change into your life. Do you know what I mean? So it's just digging deeper. And sometimes it can be really emotional, as all of them can be, because you're questioning yourself. I actually met a woman this morning, actually, who isn't a client of mine, but we just met about something completely different. And then I ended up saying to her, look, I'm just going to have to coach you for 1 second. Can I just leave you with this question? Can you go away and think about this question? And then when you've done that, come back to me, because I don't think you're ready to have the conversation with me yet. And she was like, it just gets people thinking. Mm-hmm. So they're all really, really important. And I don't think one's more important than the other. I think the way that people use them can be wrong. I've had so many people come to me and I've sent them away because they need a counsellor. I've had lots of people that have come to me as a coach again. And I've said to them, look, you need a mentor. And I can do that too. I have the information within me to be able to be your mentor. And then there's other people that have come to me as a coach and they're perfect, but it's understanding the differences. Mm-hmm. And I think it does make a difference for me. The people that aren't certified and qualified as coaching may not know or understand the differences between the 3. And that's where I think sometimes the problem lies.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, Jay? What about the positive side of things? Have you experienced any of those 3?
Yeah, I've done some stuff. I've done some courses with some people. I did one recently, just early last year, was I did How to Work Less with Rich Webster. He's a graphic designer. He owns his own agency and stuff. But it was just, I was being nosy more than anything. I wanted to see his process. I wanted to find out what he did and how he did it. And like, he boasts to have earned $500,000 in a year while working 4 hours a day. And this whole idea of, I was like, okay, it kind of sounds floppy and this stuff. But then when he broke it down more and stuff, it's just literally, it was just, when you do an 8-hour day in any office, you're only working properly for 4 hours. The other bits, you're faffing, you're meeting, this kind of stuff, where he kind of broke down his process of the exact heavy 4 hours, all in, going dark mode, turn off notifications. It was just understanding his process in there and stuff is what I wanted to learn. And like that, I was put into a community with people, and you can ask him questions, this kind of stuff. He's always there if you need to get back to stuff. So it was very positive in that scenario. I haven't had any negative ones at all, to be honest. Like, I've never really looked for a mentor. Would I benefit? Probably 100%. But yeah, overall, that Rich Webster was kind of the one I'm basing this positivity off. But as we said, we know we'll dig into the charlatans and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
But I think we forget as well, we do this for each other, Jay, you have definitely over the years coached me. I know I've coached you. I know myself and Jen, and we've all coached each other. And I think sometimes you don't realize there's someone very close to you that can mentor and coach you. And they don't even know they're doing it sometimes, but they've given you that clarity that you need.
Yeah. We just didn't label it. We went for coffee. And that kind of idea. Yeah. But it's a 3-hour coffee or whatever it is, like, you know.
Coffee.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what I was going to jump into there is like vast majority of my positive experience around where I felt I have been coached or mentored have probably been family and friends where they have tapped in. Now, there's a fine line there too. Like I will always, there's always that voice in the back of your head that you have to have, no matter who you're talking to, whether it's family, friends, or you've hired someone, where it's like, do I trust this person's advice? Do I trust that, you know, everything is okay? And like, it's very difficult to, especially when you get people that you haven't specifically hired involved giving you advice for any particular reason. You have to kind of step back and say, do they know what they're advising about? Because I'm happy also to dish advice left, right, and center, and I might have an iota of what I'm talking about if it's a different industry or if I haven't worked in that space before. I think maybe you should do this. That's kind of not really there. However, I had a really good positive experience with, I suppose they'd kind of fall into the mentor category when we were doing our fundraising. So one of the women in the accelerator rounds from a year or two before me, she mentored me while I was going through the 12 weeks of the accelerator to, you know, as I was pitching to investors and stuff. But it was a very specific task that I needed to get done. I needed to raise X amount of money and I needed someone who had done it before. And in this scenario, and without meaning to gender stereotype or do anything like that, but I kind of needed a woman who had done it before, because there's some additional kind of loops and hoops you have to jump through to kind of get it right. And, you know, there is inevitably going to be 30% more called than your male counterparts and things. So yeah, it was really, really good and really positive to talk to her, which was good. But again, I just needed it for that specific section of my life, I guess, or that time.
And they're all mentors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not coaches.
Yeah.
You know, your family and friends are not coaching you. They are giving you, once you mention the word advice, I think there's a real fine line.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to the world of what pisses us off in the world of coaching, I won't start because I'll just take over too quickly. So, Judy, do you want to kick off first? What do you think of the negative? I mean, there's a lot in the world at the moment around, you know, we see it on Instagram. Every single one of us sees this all the time. I've even had people reach out to me and just, you know, ask for coaching and mentorship, and I'm in no way qualified. So there's a lot going on there. But what do you think, Judy, in terms of what pisses you off about coaching and mentorship and the world of it?
Well, you know, I'll talk about an experience I suppose I had, and maybe this person was more of a mentor than a coach, but like in 2023, I fell in love with the quote, "I don't chase, I attract. What belongs to me simply finds me." And you know what? I'm just going to erase my love of that quote altogether, right? Because what ended up happening is I'd be like, oh, I have a problem. And then something would land in my inbox, which would be a solution to my problem. And I'd be like, serendipity. Oh my God, I'm just going to go with this. So I think that is the biggest problem with coaching, or that whole industry, is that, like, you know, you kind of, for me anyway, I'd just jump on the first one that goes there, as opposed to proactively try and find the perfect solution for me. I was just like, this is the universe doing all the hard work for me. I can just take it. And that is probably, I've learned that's the wrong thing to do. So I ended up enrolling in this course about online courses. I think now this is like, anyone who's created an online course goes off and creates a course about online courses, I think is the strategy here. But this guy, now in fairness, he was really nice, right? And it was a €3,000 investment and 1,500 up front. And then you pay the extra 1,500 if you generate that in sales. And while I was introduced to some brilliant things like, you know, strategies for, you know, setting up software and stuff like that, like Zapier, you know, like I got nuggets out of it, of course. But like what he was doing was saying, like, set up a webinar, get everyone to join for free, and here's the template with the PowerPoint deck. And the template, now this guy is based in America. Like, you should have seen me, right? The night before, right? I copied his template. I had everything ready to go. I had 20 people signed up to do the class. And I was like, I actually can't present this, because it was like all the sizzle, no steak. And I was like, I can't just do an hour sales pitch. It's not within me. So instead, I scrapped the whole sales deck and gave like a free course basically to 20 people who showed up. And I think I was so allergic to the idea of selling anything that I didn't even put a call to action at the end of it. I was just like, here's all my information, now go away, bye. And afterwards I was like, never, ever am I going to do something like that again. So, and I know it's not life coaching. It's just kind of like, I suppose, a mentorship kind of thing experience. But I think my two takeaways are: be careful, like do your due diligence on who you choose to help you and whatever guidance you need. And don't do anything that feels weird to you. So.
Yeah, like that's the interesting thing, where it's like a lot of this isn't necessarily the coaching or mentorship category, but by virtue becomes it because you're seeking something to aid you to move forward. And even as simple, and I think that's why people sometimes will reach out to me on Instagram as well, where it's like, oh, I saw this video you did. I have that goal. I'm trying to work towards that now. Can I get more information from you to do the same thing? But like that, it comes from a lot of influencers in the space, especially in the AI space now at the moment, and any of the newest fad groups, we'll call them, lean into this very, very quickly as well. To like, okay, we have lots of free content here. You're getting the advice. People have the idea of what they want to work towards. And then if they can feed people through that funnel very easily from there. Jan, are you jumping at the bit? Do you want to jump in?
I've got hives listening to that story. Because, and you know why I've got hives? Because I listen to it every week. And do you know what pisses me off though, is that coaches get a bad name. Because I am a coach and I believe in it, and I really do. And I think the problem is because it's not, it's so diluted by these coaches, mentors in that system of buy one, do one, teach one, which I'd like to string them all up on a post, to be absolutely honest, because they don't have the experience to pass that knowledge on. If you've done something once, get real, like, do you know what I mean? And the other thing that pisses me off is using coaches against coaches. Sometimes somebody will book a session with me and basically go through a whole scenario that they had with somebody. And I'd be like, okay. And what they want me to do is tell them that the coach is wrong. And my answer is always the same. I am not privy to any of your conversations between you and your coach. If you chose that coach, as Judge Judy would always say, if you ate the steak, you got to pay for the steak. So tough. If you picked wrong, that's your problem. However, then I often will obviously always say to people like, Judy, if you'd rang me the week before you booked that lovely course, I would have told you were not to do it. And I would have found you another process. And the process would have been actually all of those platforms give you free training, and it's probably better than what he showed you. So yeah, vagueness pisses me off. Like, I can do this for you. I don't really know what it is. That's just a load of tosh. And the focus on your money mindset, this whole thing of, if you won't invest in yourself, then you're doing an injustice to yourself, and you've got to get a better money mindset. Do you know what? Your money mindset depends on who you're working with, what you've decided to do with your qualification. So yeah, I think my biggest piss off that coaches get a bad name, and it's because other people who aren't coaches call themselves coaches and offer crap, basically.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, like Shan said everything there perfectly. It's just like these people think like you do it once, they're going to do it, then they teach. But what it is I feel they prey on weak people. They prey on, like, they're not going to get the likes of Shan. They're like, us like this. We understand the methods. We look at it. But if someone's kind of insecure, this kind of stuff, you should be charging double what you're charging, babes. And like, but I'm going to charge you the same money. It's like, so you're justifying your €1,000 fee by saying they should be charging €1,000. Like, it's just this kind of stuff. Like I said, I think we said it off air last year, and where this all came from was, I just see it so much where I see, like, I know there's a lot of, I work with a lot of women, a lot of young people as well that have coaches. And like the first comment, they'll post an Instagram post or a reel or something, and the first comment within 1 minute, amazing babes, love it, class, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, are they just paying you for social media interactions, or what's the crack here? Like, are you actually, that's what it seems like to me, because like these people still haven't, from what I've seen, in my opinion, progressed in their business. They're like, nothing's changed since working with these people in my, like, visually offerings, all this kind of stuff. I've talked to them, I've said, got coffees with them and saying, how's business? They're like, oh yeah, it's not great. I'm like, yeah, but you're still paying someone 500 to €1,000 a month to tell you you're doing great. No, I don't know. This is, as I said, as Shan pointed out, I have had people talk to me and mentor me in the past. I haven't labeled as that. But it's just, I just think there's a lot of people. The pure example now, I've done a few videos out there where I put out on social, and these people have reached out to me and they're like, hey Jay, love your stuff, man. I'm like, oh, thanks a million. I'm thinking that's the end of it. What camera do you use? I'm like, oh, it's this, and this. And it's like a template of questions that end with a sell. I'm doing a course on how to €25,000 a year. And I'm like, the one guy recently got onto me, and he was through TikTok, and he said, chatting away, and he was a Sony ambassador, which I thought, okay, that's somewhat legit. He's that kind of chatting away. And by the end of it, he's like, how's business, man? And I said, yeah, we're doing really good. And I knew there was a fish hook somewhere. Like, so I just hit him with like, we made this last year. We're doing this projects we're working on, data. And I was like, I shouldn't give him all that information. But it was like, at the same time, he's like, cool, man, I was going to offer my services, but you don't need them. You're doing great yourself. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. But I'm like, no, I wanted to keep him sweet, because I'm like, I need to get an email off like a Sony person who's dealing with ambassadors, because I want to get in there. Like, but it's that kind of stuff. It's the cheap sells. It's the fake interest and the faint interest to sell you as well that really pisses me off about them. Do you
know what I love? I love as well, Jay. The inbox ones when they come onto social media and they say, I can convert, and you could be earning 10 grand a month from your social media. I've done a little video for you. Just click this link. If they were involved in social media at all, had any clout whatsoever, they would know that no one clicks a bloody link in social, in DMs, because I was like, are you kidding me? And I've got so many of those recently. I was like, nah.
I saw one there. He was like, my last client, I got 700 calls last month for them. I'm like, who the fuck wants 700 calls a month? Genuinely, who wants that? Like, it's so stupid. Like,
do you know what hurt me? I think the most is one time he was like, I was like, well, I'd like to, get a few more modules added to the online course or something. He's like, no, don't worry about that. And I was like, but I think I can make it better. He's like, what'd he say? He's like, people don't buy the product, they buy the marketing. And I was like, is that the world that we live in? Yeah, really? It is.
It is.
And like, I shouldn't fight it because it is real, but like, I can't stand it. Like, I can't stand that.
You have to both have great marketing and a great product.
Agree. Yeah.
Like,
because there's only so much life in a product that has amazing marketing but shit product. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to get people. They'll always get people at the start. It's like the snake oilsmen way back. When, like, from going town to town, they get their first few, but then word spreads and no one touches them and they get run out of town. Like, do you know what I mean? It's quick cash.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems to be, the charlatan whole thing of these kind of, yes, there's mentors, yes, there's coaches, but the kind of the cheaper side and the kind of seedier side is like, it seems like quick cash.
Yeah.
It's really confusing for people though. Like, I had a conversation last week with a new client who wanted to do this campaign, say it was called 80 People of Inspiration. Yeah. And then after talking to her for 15 minutes, I was like, so you want to speak to 80 people? And she was like, yeah. And I said, so what's your weekly capacity? How many people can you speak to a week? And her capacity was one person a week. And I'm like, you can't do this because this is a 3-year campaign.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Just find something that will work for you. But she hadn't thought that through. She'd seen someone advertising, I need 12 people. I need 20 people. Are there 15 women out there that would like to work with me? And I can, do you know what I mean? And she was like, I'll do 80. And then actually she didn't even have the capacity to do 10.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all those TikTok ads and those Instagram ads you're seeing, all this kind of stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you want to make $10,000 a month? I'm like, what? when that's the catch straight away, you're like, okay, you know,
I'm going to teach you to make videos while you sleep. Wake up in the morning with 10 new Instagram videos without having to do anything. Like that's the kind of pitch that like he was kind of trying to make me do. And I was like, but like, that's impossible, you know?
But it goes back to the, like, if it's too good to be true, it's not true. Like that's the basic for everything, even before the internet, like before anything, like it's just, if it's too good to be true, it's not true. It's not going to happen for you. Like, but I even get I definitely get messages every single day of people being like, hey, I was promised that I'd make X amount from this person, and now I've lost all my money. Is there any way you could help me even make $100? And I'm like, my heart, your heart would actually break. Like,
but at the same time,
like,
and this is going to be cruel, but at the same time, there was a reason way back when people survived and people didn't survive. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to, that's on them. They gave all, unless those people were con artists and, you know, hackers and hacked everything, you sent them this money.
Yeah.
There was something in you, insecurity or whatever it was that you needed, and you need, and it's such a cold way to do it. I know it is horrible, but like, you do feel sorry for them, and I've heard stories and I feel awful for people, but like at the same time, I'm like, well, like, maybe you shouldn't be in business. Maybe you should work for someone else. Maybe you should, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a number 2.
Yeah.
Or number 3. Number 3 is a fucking amazing job. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have no responsibility per se, and then you're getting paid. Like, there's,
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually, have any of you heard of the podcast called My Favorite Murder?
I think I have.
It's very, very, very good. Now, the name obviously doesn't really sell it.
It's all you though, Jen. It just screams you. Like
My Favorite Murder. But I was listening to an episode actually while I was driving yesterday, and they just go through they've kind of run out of murders and they're going through different crazy, wacky stories that have just happened. But the story that they did yesterday was this con man, and he was originally born in Colombia, and he was like adopted by an American family, and he just became wildly obsessed with being rich, even though he wasn't. They were like middle income family, we'll say. And he managed to, by the time he was even like 12, 13, con car like salesmen out of brand new Mercedes by dressing up as an Arab and pretending to be the Prince of Saudi Arabia. And this went on for years and years and years, to the point where he actually managed to convince American Express that he, the prince, had lost his credit card, and they issued him a new credit card with a $200 million limit.
Do you know what I mean?
There is people out there who must be that good too, in the same breath of like actually like selling ice to the Eskimos kind of a thing, you know? But the story was unbelievable. Like he got to the point where he was picking up the tricks along the way. He was like, oh, if I'm actually the prince doesn't talk to people directly. So he hired a security person, and he hired like people around him that would do the talking for him, and he'd be in the back just in the full kind of Arab dress, we'll call it. And it becomes believable very, very quickly when you could talk the talk, walk the walk, and do everything else in between. And it's just a phenomenal story. He was in and out of jail, and every time he came out, he just became the prince again.
Yeah. Sure, that whole Tinder swindler, the whole thing like that, all those documentaries and that kind of stuff. But that's what I was saying last week, and again off air, is the likes of those people do so much damage to the likes, in my opinion, and Shen, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the likes of big groups like the club and stuff like that, where some people would say, oh sure, that's just someone at the top, and again, just supporting each other. But obviously I know myself, it's legit. I know the club, all kind of stuff is legit, but I do feel people, like there's definitely things I've looked at, I'm like, God, they're doing damage to this industry because, again, I can help you this, and oh, amazing babes. And so it's all like, you can tell when she does a post, or whoever does a post, he does a post, that it's just their followers commenting and interacting and sharing and stuff. So like they're creating a little, not a cult like status, but like they're
like
little,
the Andrew Tate. Is that his name? Andrew Tate or something Tate?
Or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Ridiculous fella, not to give him any airtime whatsoever, but like his pyramid scheme essentially.
Correct. Yeah. Like, so it's just it's damaging to things. It's just and again, as Jen said, it's very hard to pick the right one.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
Are you looking to elevate your marketing and social media? Our podcast is proudly sponsored by Azure Communications, who have the perfect solution for all of your marketing needs.
Whether you need digital marketing, content creation, print, design, or direct mail, they have the skills and expertise to help you improve your brand awareness and drive business growth.
Get in touch with them today for a free social media audit or to find out more at www.azurecom.ie.
That's AZURECOMM.ie. If you haven't been turned away by one or two, do you know what I mean? Or it's the one thing I'd always say referral. It's the one thing I would never like scroll through when I'm trying to find. I was trying to find a mentor a couple of years ago when I started the club, someone that had been and had experienced and started a social enterprise. And it was really, really hard. I could meet loads of people that worked for a social enterprise. And so I just had to take my time with it. And it took me a good 18 months to find someone that could really understand and help me. But it's the one time I wouldn't just dive in. It's the one time I would 100% speak to other people that had worked with them and what they had got from it. And then check their personality type as well. We've spoken about this. Check their personality type and make sure it's something that you need.
Yeah, I think what triggers me the most about the whole world of it is there is, like, you personally as a person need to have a certain amount of willpower, we'll say, to just action things, as in, like, I don't necessarily need a coach for accountability because I'm very good at doing that for myself. Now, I know other people that might be a really good and helpful aid for them to like progress through those goals. But actually actioning those in between and actually making progress is the key part. Whereas, like, Jay, to your point there, where it's just like, yay, you tried.
You did a reel. Yeah,
it's kind of like, I get kind of triggered by the, you know, let all the kids have a medal. Just give the winner the medal.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of like, oh, keep going, keep trying when you're actually just kind of, someone's just going in circles. I think that's where people end up a lot with coaches, where they're like, okay, I feel good, but like, you can be a busy fool just as much as being a busy and progressing, you know? So there's like that kind of piece to it.
And you can set as many goals as you want, but if you've got no actions, then all you're doing is setting goals over and over and over again. And that drives you mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as well, it must be hard to get out of that circle. If you're in that world and you have a mentor and you're being supported by all these people in her circle or his circle, and then you stop paying or you stop getting involved, like, you have to see there'll be massive drop-off offers and support and stuff. But like, that's probably how they get you as well, where they want you there the whole time. They're almost, you're afraid to stop doing it. Do you know what I mean?
That's almost a kind of a bigger mental health impact then as well, almost, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It does. And I used to take all my clients, when I finished my coaching qualifications, everything, you know, there was this thing about supporting people, staying with them for 3 months, and I'd be meeting them every week. And I can't remember if we've mentioned this before, but like, I stopped doing that quite some time ago because for 2 reasons. I would meet people weekly and they would never have taken the action because they didn't have enough time or whatever that we'd set for them the week before. So then I started mentoring really and giving them tools to help them do this. And because I'm a quick processor, they would be getting all the information. So I was just like, this doesn't work for me, actually. I feel really bad taking their money every week. They're not getting stuff done. They probably just need to see me in a month's time. We're getting so much done in a session. So now I literally just do power hours. So I've still got clients that worked with me for the last couple of years, but they just book when they need me. And so I'm always there, and look, the odd WhatsApp comes in, that's absolutely fine. But when they need a session, they just book for it. I feel much better about that, taking their money, and they get more out of the experience because it gives them time to actually fulfill the actions before their next session.
That's really interesting that you say that, because we've actually just introduced a similar kind of concept internally, like a power hour of work, where because we're all working remotely, that sometimes like we just need to work together and collaborate and burn through the work during the session almost. And it's weird being on a call, everyone's kind of quiet and tapping, and then what we're just like actually working on it and able to communicate with each other a little bit more in real time. But it's made a massive difference. It's really, really good. Really good.
Agreed.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay, I thought you were going to say something there.
Well, I was thinking about something there. As in, like, it's just good. Like, this whole thing, I do believe in remote working, and it is good to get face-to-face people. Even like we had a 15-20 minute chat before the podcast. It was just good to catch up. Do you mean it's just, and we know that will build on our relationship. It's just, it all works. Like, even we're talking about, it's all good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's interesting because even when we have that 15-20 minute chat, sometimes I think we have a better episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good.
You know?
Unfortunately, that chat only happened because I was, are you dobbing me in because I was late?
Gotcha. That's funny.
But it's true though. You're dead right. Like, once we have those conversations, it's more flowy. It's just like everything is. It's like getting together on a project. Like, the project will be better. Like, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, 100%. And then if we're going into the teach me, sorry, go ahead. Ask Judy her question.
Is Judy texting me?
No. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm actually like, because I'm going into the teach me something new. But I heard this morning about a bot, an app that you download called Rocky.ai that is a life coach. And I just wanted to actually put something into it before you ask me, Jen, so that I could actually say. Now, what I was interested about, because like I am worried about AI, like, because sometimes I ask ChatGPT some really, really personal shit just to see what it's going to say, you know. And I'm like, it's building a profile about me in the background. This is weird. But at first page of this Rocky.ai, it's like, do you want to create an anonymous account? I'm like, sure. And then it's like, okay, so now I'm like, okay, less freaked out. It's like, are you interested or skeptical? I'm skeptical. And then it kind of trains me through some of the things that it does and kind of gives me some privacy options. And I'm definitely not trying to replace real life coaches here, Shan, especially. I do think that real people are important. But if you're on the fly and you're like, what do I say to this person who's wrecking my head? I think that this could be a nice one to stop them WhatsApping you outside of your sessions. So I think I'll dig into it and have a look at it for next week.
I wonder if we put in GPT our personality types, like how could I respond to this question from this personality type coming from my personality type? Do you know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah.
Because it's something that I think about often. With the color recognition, I would be very careful of how I speak to different colors.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Jane, is there a possibility? Now, hear me out. Hear me out, guys, live on the podcast. Is there a possibility of transcribing all our podcasts, putting the ChatGPT, and then releasing it to our listeners if they have questions to ask us?
Yeah,
but
I'll do it.
Is that calm down? They're just like, so they're asking the team on the information we've given them across the podcast.
Yeah, because actually you're leading straight into my teach me something new. So I'll jump in quickly and then I'll jump to you, Shan. But what I have done in my ChatGPT is created custom GPTs with different people that I find highly inspirational. So for example, one of the biggest people that I love to read all their books and everything else is Cal Newport. And he has a podcast and he has maybe 4 or 5 books. Got the PDFs, got the text files, exported out the transcripts of his podcasts and made a custom GPT. And now I have conversations with him on that. And then I have different ones for different scenarios. So Cal Newport is very like deep work, productivity, deep focus, learning how to get your attention back from, social media and things like that. It's a type of work. And then there's another one, Tiago Forte and Ali Abdal. They talk a lot about like projects, areas, resourcing, how to structure, organize all of this stuff. I'm going too deep into the world of all of that, but I have different custom GPTs and I have just pulled every single ounce of material I can find in them, dumped it into the upload files, the knowledge base, and set the instructions.
Are you using a scraping tool there, Jen? Or are you just spending hours going through resources, download files, kind of stuff? What's the crack? How are you actually getting that information into ChatGPT?
Yeah,
just
I want to know that too.
Yeah,
just downloading stuff.
just downloading stuff. So there's loads of tools out there where you can get like the transcripts of pretty much anything, like drop the YouTube links in. Here's all the YouTube links. Just send me the transcripts. There's actually plugins for ChatGPT that will let you just put in all the links and it'll just pull the transcripts into the knowledge base. And then for the books, I do actually physically own purchased copies of the books before I go into this, but I do just go off and find the PDF online and then just import that because I'm not I'm not going to my printer and turning the book into a PDF.
To be fair, no, you do share video or photos of you buying books, the reading this month. To be fair to you, so.
No. So, but yeah, you
sorry,
can
no,
just
to keep it on this topic, but you know the way you always talk about the custom GPTs, Jen, is that so? Within you're paying for ChatGPT 4, and then is it on the sidebar? You've got the kind of different things that you've created, and you can kind of flick between them. Correct. With the information that you've downloaded. So it's only relying on the information that you've brought in, but is it also bringing in all of the other information on the internet?
No. Yes, it can, but I instruct it not to.
Interesting. Right.
I typically instruct it to stick to the knowledge base that I had given it, with the exception of when it doesn't have the information it requires to answer my question.
Amazing. Thanks a million, because I think we could do a whole show on this, but it's something that I'm delving into this week, so I'm really curious about it. Thank you. In
my Substack, not the one that went out today, the one that went out last week, there's a step-by-step guide on setting up your own custom GPT.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice.
But yeah, AI is going to change this in so many ways, because like I even actually saw an ad recently from a digital marketing agency in the US, and they're probably one of the bigger agencies, like they're a very well-known agency. And I thought it was really strange to see this ad running where you could buy access to their custom GPT and ask digital marketing agency questions. So you could be like, is this return on ad spend good for this industry? And they had backlogged all of their customer data, all of their client data into it without putting in their proprietary information. So you could get your industry benchmarks and all of this out of it. So like there's lots of ways you can use the custom GPTs. For example, I've built, every time I issue a newsletter now on a Tuesday, I will build a custom GPT with so do the way before you go off and you do your research and you'd be pulling it from you'd have 1,000 tabs open. Fun tip, if you right click on a web page and you click print, you can actually hit save as PDF instead of print. So I just dump in all the PDFs. I just got all the web pages open and then I'm having a conversation. Okay, I'm going to write it like this. How is it worded like this? And it has all of the knowledge base. So like every time I'm doing a kind of complex task that requires research, I'll make a custom GPT at this stage.
I love this podcast. I really do.
That's where I was going with our one. Can we monetize our conversations? But that's down the line. Obviously, when there's 100 episodes there.
Well, yeah. Well, what we could do even is like once we get to episode 100, we'll bank them all in. I'll start banking them now. But what we could even do at that point is a shout out to listeners and be like, what is the key knowledge base you would like from Judy, from Jay, from Shan, from me? And we could write a document or create a document for ourselves that gets uploaded into it. I would typically respond in a snappy but agreeable way. Like, Shan, could I help? You know, we can just you can mess about with it, but that would actually be really, really fun. But I can't remember who I've asked what now for teach me something new. But Shan, I know I haven't asked you.
Shan, I have one as well, but you go for Shan. Go
for Shan.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. It's actually quite funny. I don't know what this week video. I've got a slight delay on my video, so I'm now. Do you ever watch Ant and Dec? And when Dec's talking, you watch Ant, and vice versa. This is what it's like this morning today, because I'm laughing like a second before someone makes the joke. It's hilarious. I love it. Okay, my teach me is about coaching. So I always think if you want to become something, know as much about it as possible. And so for me, I love this book, and most of you will know I'm not a reader, but I did read this, Coaching for Performance by Sir John Whitmore. It does come in audio as well, but if you are seriously thinking about becoming a coach, I would highly recommend reading that book before. And then the second one is, this is for everybody, whether you're a coach or not a coach, or if everybody lived by these 4 rules, the world would be a nicer place. And it's the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, R-U-I-Z. I gift this book so much because it's amazing. And so those would be my 2 tips this week. But the 4 agreements, everybody should read it. Our lives would be a nicer place if everybody just lived by these 4 rules.
Nice. We'll have to check those out.
I have one, and do you know what? I'm there. I had 4 photo shoots and 2 video shoots in the last 7 or 8 days. Just something silly like that, just busyness, which is great. But then I'm trying to fucking promote myself. I'm trying to post on social. I'm trying to do this stuff. So I'm just like posting carousels and stuff. I have to do a reel now. I'm like, oh my God. And I have the Beat app, or whatever it's called, for making reels. I was like, it's not great. And then I remember Judy saying that there's templates in CapCut. And fucking lads, they're solid. Like, they're really solid templates in CapCut. So open up CapCut. I was like, I want something simple, kind of 16 millimeter film kind of vibe, because it was kind of a vintage kind of shoot. And I would literally type templates, TikTok reels, whatever it is, and they're all there. You'll see like it's all different templates. And you can click save to TikTok or save it without watermark, and it opens the TikTok or Reels app. But if you just go back into the Instagram app, don't post it, just go back in and say save video as video. You don't have to post it if you don't want it then and there. But it was just super handy. I have like 4 or 5 now in my drafts ready to go, just kind of simple stuff, trending stuff, where like I have the content, but I just don't have the fucking mental capacity to drum up an idea of editing a reel together. Like, sometimes you just have to put it out, and majority of the time people don't care if it's a template, or they see the content and they're happy. Do you know what I mean? So templates on CapCut.
But even like to try and build that, like, to try and replicate one of those templates in Premiere Pro, like I'd say 4 days. Do you know that kind of way? Like you'd be there for ages doing it. And it's like,
there's the likes of Motion VFX, great website, unbelievable templates and plugins, but you're paying for it. You're paying 80, 90 quid per how many plugins. So like, yes, I know there's all the free ones, the different ones and stuff, but this is just, if you don't have time, if you just brain is fried, whatever it is. Obviously, I love going and doing them for clients and my other stuff, creating them off from scratch. But for myself, yourself, it's the hardest to market yourself. Like,
yeah, and exactly what you've said there is like, challenge 2 in my online course. You just covered it in like 30 seconds, which is brilliant. Go buy my course.
I love it.
Do you have a discount code?
Make videos while you sleep.
God. Did I ever tell you about that Logan Paul thing? Did I tell you about that on the podcast at all? He was the first to do it, and it was when vlogging, which is coming back, lads. Long form vlogging content
really
is coming back. If you were listening, get back into it. But he had a fucking genius idea. He wanted it, like, if he vlogged today, he wanted it out tomorrow morning. But obviously, the guy who's shooting it isn't going to be editing it that day, because obviously you're going to burn him out. So what he did was, he's over in the States. What he did was, they shot all the content, did a whole day of whatever he's doing, and they hired an editor in England, sent him the content because they're 8 hours behind it.
Nice.
The editor edited everything, and by the time the editor went to bed and sent all the files over, it was the next morning for the boys who just uploaded the daily vlog. And it was like, people were like, how is he getting it done so fast? Obviously, an editor's doing it for him, but like, I thought that was genius. So
brilliant.
Don't be afraid of time zones.
No.
Embrace the time
That's
zones.
amazing. So where do we need an editor?
It would be Australia or fucking Dubai.
Yeah. Anywhere kind of like Middle East over towards Asia, Singapore, that kind of direction, because like we actually have like people in the US, people in Europe, and actually we have a guy in Bali at the moment, and like that now we're a really small team at the moment, but it works quite well because, like, for example, my American clients that we're working with, they're not even awake for another hour.
Mm.
And I've already managed to get a huge amount of work done this morning before.
There was a girl on Instagram once, and she was like, if New Zealand is so ahead, why don't they just tell us what's going to happen in the future? It broke my mind. I was like, what? I loved it.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
We'll wrap it there. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. Like and subscribe it, of course, wherever you're watching or listening to us from. And we will see you next week.
Shan's got a final point to share.
I just want to say something really quickly. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of things here today. And I just want to say, if like, we're not here to sort of slag anybody off, but if this has triggered you, then you've either, like Judy, spent a ridiculous amount of money doing this shit, or otherwise you're selling this shit.
Yes.
So if you're selling it, check yourself. And if you're thinking about buying it, please drop us a DM and we'll sort you out.
Absolutely, 100%. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.